Thank you, John.
Actually, Rob, can I call you again? So this is the map of the current course. Perhaps you just want to talk through some of the highlights. Obviously, the start is off the beach here.
So we're here, just in case anyone hadn't spotted that one. So the last, are we on?
Yeah.
The last 4 or 5 years, we've always started from here, which I think is an excellent way to go. We typically start maybe an hour and a half before high water, so the tide is flowing in. The start line is literally just off here, and it's just off the beach.
So like a Le Mans start, isn't it?
But at one point, it was literally a off the beach Le Mans start, run and go. Last year, I think we actually did a line, but it was difficult to stay behind it because the tide was pushing you over. I think in terms of hazards, it very much depends what the weather's doing. In the year that the guy was just describing, I think I ended up there by accident and had to beat back out there to sail back down there again, which wasn't a great deal of fun in 30 odd knots of wind. So the bridge, as described, you see you come round past Northney here and you come round to the bridge, and if you're very lucky, then you go under the bridge, the tide's still pushing you, which is one of the advantages of starting from this end. Which just means that if you're a little bit graceful about it, drop that sail forward and allow yourself to float under, you come up the other side. And just when you think it's all good, the other side of the bridge is the, I don't know what it is, an old railway line?
The old railway bridge.
And that's always very scary because sometimes the diagonal concrete bars are about 1 foot or 2 feet below the water, and it's very easy to break a fin off or upset yourself. So you always have to tactically decide the best way through that gap. Then you come out into Langstone, which is a lovely flat water, and doesn't matter where the wind's blowing from, it's clean. But also you have to remember where the tidal channels are. There's at least 2 tidal channels in Langstone. And if the tide's with you, you want to be in them. If not, you want to be well out of them. But you go too far out and you land up on the beach again. There's lots of shallows and fun hazards to be had. Then the next hazard is the occasional freighter in this part of the Langstone Harbour. That's always interesting. Who apparently have right-of-way over sail, we're always told at the rescue briefing. And we come around the corner here to the ferry boat, which typically, fortunately, doesn't travel across too frequently, so I don't think I've had too many arguments with it. And then, as Guy was describing, the day he was talking about with all that wind, the squall came through from the south and was blowing straight in the mouth. And so he was trying to get out through in about 35, 38 knots of wind with the tide pushing back in. And indeed, when you get round to this corner, you can't see it, but there's a big sandbar that goes out a mile, which at high tide you can sail over, but boy does it throw up the sea and cause excitement. And then, depending on the wind direction, you either have to beat all the way along the seafront, I think as we did last year, or you sometimes get a screaming reach, which is always exciting. You can get along there in maybe 15 minutes if it's a windy day, it doesn't take long. And then the final challenge, just when you think it's all over, you hit this corner. By which point definitely the tide is flowing out, so it's whizzing out in this direction. And as it took me a few years to work out, we always hold it on Good Friday because it's a moon celebration. The Easter is linked to the moon, so it's a big tide.
There's a big tide, yeah.
And so there's always a big tide flowing out of the harbour here. You come around this corner and you've got to work out how you're going to beat over the tide. You go right into the beach. Occasionally you go right over to the Witterings, and you can be miles ahead and lose the race, or miles behind and come in with a big grin on your face. So that's always the bit that makes me nervous when I get to that corner.